Monday morning with Mo. Hey, sorry, I'm just finishing off some chia pudding. So today I want to talk about the concept of the observing self. Now, I go on and on and on about mindfulness and how much a beautiful skill it is, and it's a skill of awareness. We know that. We know that awareness allows us to see what we place our attention on, and what we place our attention on then ultimately becomes our reality in that moment. So it's really important to become consciously aware of where my attention is being placed, because in that moment my reality can either be one of suffering or awakening, or love or sadness, hopelessness, hope. Through the work that we've been doing, it's about becoming aware that you can shift your state when you shift your attention. Can I be conscious of where my attention is being placed at particular times throughout my day? And when I'm aware of where my attention is, can I then also recognize what it is saying? So there's the deeper message in it. Okay, and this is the work that we've been doing. This is the deeper dive into it as well. So let's briefly look at mindfulness, understand the concept of the observing self, and then I want to take you to a place of you are the observer of the experience, you are not the experience. And that's quite an enlightening space to get. Whether you get there today, whether you're already there, whether this deepens your understanding or whether it introduces you to the concept of it, everything is fine and everything is right, everything is perfect in the moment. So number one, mindfulness is an awareness skill. It's a skill of awareness. So it's a particular type of awareness. It's a non-judgmental, in the present moment awareness that notice things rise and fall. So the question then becomes, what is this awareness? And how do I access it? Well, simply, let's do a nice simple exercise. In this moment, I'd like you to place your attention on your breath. And actually, place your attention on your posture, how you're sitting. So notice I sit up a bit straighter because I was a bit slumped a bit. So I'm noticing my posture. I'm noticing also, sucking in my core. So at the moment, I'm being aware and I'm impacting my awareness. Now focus on your breath, or place your attention on your breath. Now I'm actually becoming aware that I'm breathing, which is interesting, isn't it? Because I've been breathing all day, but hadn't been necessarily aware of it. Now that's awareness, but is it non-judgmental awareness? So can I place my attention on my breath and just become aware of my breath, the inward and the outward breath? So I can notice the inward and the outward breath. I can notice how it feels, and I can notice if there's any thoughts arising from the feelings of it. So did I judge myself for the type of breath? Oh, I don't think I breathed in deep enough. I didn't go into the diaphragm there. Maybe I didn't push it out there. Or, should I be breathing in my nose and out my mouth, or in my nose and out my nose? So notice the thoughts. So that's, once again, awareness. So when I become aware of my awareness, now we're moving into a deeper level of understanding of what mindfulness is. Because mindfulness can sit quite superficially on the surface, and people, I think mindfulness in the West is really sold as a commodity. It's, go and do mindfulness and all of a sudden your life will change. It has these side effects of feeling calm and, you're in the now and things like that. And that's all well and good. But there's so much to mindfulness. The Buddhists have 14 levels of mindfulness. And, the Buddhist monks practice mindfulness each and every day for hours at a time. So for us to come to a really deep understanding of mindfulness, well, we first need to start in the superficial area of just placing attention on something. But it's that type of attention that I then place upon something, that non-judgmental, curious, inquiring in the moment. Now, can I then, as much as I can sit on the cushion, be mindful of my breath, do some meditation, that sort of stuff, lie down, mindful walking, mindful washing the dishes, that sort of thing, can I take it to a deeper level and become aware of my experience from a perspective where I am observing my experience, I am not the experience? Now, this is a really deep understanding of mindfulness, because what it allows us to do is in a sense, we're just alert to when things arise within us. So just over the weekend, many things arose for me over the weekend. And even though they were small things, I was able to pick them up because I'm sensitive to my mindfulness, sensitive to my awareness. And I might have a judgment of another, but I also might have a judgment of self. I had lots of judgment of self. And it was really interesting to notice these arisings and then notice how they felt. So normally, you probably feel something before you notice the thought. But when you feel it, then you can then start to inquire into the thought. And remember the emotional guidance system. If you have a negative feeling about yourself and others, then ask the question, what was the thought that preceded that? Where's the judgment? Where is the discord of love, in essence? Because I'm not seeing through the eyes of love. I'm seeing everything other than love. Because when I see things through the eyes of love, there's acceptance, there's forgiveness, there's compassion, there's love, of course. There's an unconditional aspect of things. Whereas when I'm not, I'm placing conditions on things. People need to behave in a particular way for me to embrace them, to me to accept what they're doing, And if I'm not accepting what they're doing, I'm resisting what they're doing. Even for me, I need to act in a particular way for me to like myself, So there's conditions upon that. So if you can, and this is where I, once again, I can have these conversations with you, but it's about taking this conversation off the cushion, taking it into life, and notice the arisings throughout your day, because those arisings are letting you know of something of a deeper nature. Thoughts and emotions are indicators of something of a deeper nature. As I move through my day and as I interact with people, and it's usually through the interactions with others that things will arise within us. And those things that arise within us will be about the other, or they'll be about ourselves. Notice where there's a discord of love. Notice where there's a negative, what we would call negative emotion, feeling, something welling up inside you. And then we can then start to notice the experience, okay? Because if I notice something arising up within me, so if I have the emotion of disappointment and sadness, what was the thought that preceded that? What's the thought that that's related to? Remember, thoughts and emotions indicators of something of deeper nature. Can I then feel into it and then start to notice the dialogue that's happening? So I'm feeling sad because I'm thinking something. thinking there's a loss. I'm feeling disappointed because people didn't act in the way that I thought that they should, so there's an expectation. Okay. And while I continue to attach to the thought, the emotion, I am the experience. And so what I'm saying from a mindfulness perspective, of the observing self perspective, you can then step back one step a bit further and look at the experience, observe the experience. Yes, you are the one experiencing it, but you are not the experience. It's like when we're driving in the car, we're experiencing the drive in the car, but you're not the car. You're driving the car and you're having the experience, but ultimately you can stop the car and hop out of it and then look at the car and you go, okay, when I was in that car, I was having that experience. While I'm in this body with this mind, I'm having this experience. When I'm talking to somebody with this body and this mind, I will have that experience. But the one that is known as the I am, which is consciousness, the observing self, soul, if you want to look at it from that perspective, it is something that not necessarily is separate to the experience, but it is the one that you can observe yourself from. Now, I know that might sound really deep and esoterical in a sense. However, in introducing you to the concept of it, it allows you to step into that space. So I am not anxious. I'm noticing anxiety arise within me. So I am noticing anxiety arise within me. So I could then say, I as consciousness am noticing the arisings of anxiety within my mind body. Because I as consciousness encompass all of this. But as consciousness, as awareness, I am not the experience. I can notice it. Now when I notice it, I can then start to see it from a different perspective. I can then start to inquire into it from consciousness perspective. So this is another next level of deep inquiry. What does this experience say? What is the meaning to this experience? How have I attached to it? Could this experience be related to many other experiences that I've had? So over the weekend, I had some experiences, and for some reason, I felt guilt arising within me. I went, oh, that's interesting. I thought I'd worked through guilt pretty well. So what it did was it attached to some stuff that was still sitting in the shadows, and we've spoken about shadow self. It attached to some stuff that sat in the shadows that had happened long ago. But the pattern was still there, the program was still there. So, have I been able to work through that? Not fully, still seeing it from the eyes of love. So actually, in working through it, I'm seeing it through the eyes of love. So the interesting paradox with it is that I need to be both the experience and the one who observes the experience. If I just come back to I'm the one observing the experience, there's a sense of detachment and spiritual bypass there. I'm not even going to feel it now. This is what's going on. I'm going to push it away. Whereas actually I'm in the experience. What is this? This anxiety is welling up within me. This guilt's really welling up within me. What is that saying? What's it attached to? So I'm experiencing it, but still observing the experience and being able to inquire into it and seeing it as valuable. And so once again, they're grateful for discomfort. I'm seeing it as valuable, but I'm using inquiry. So I'm still using the mind to inquire into it, because this mind is a beautiful tool of perception. So as I use self-inquiry, I'm using the prefrontal cortex. There's the neuroscience within it. I'm tapping into the emotion of it. What is, what happened? What's the thought that preceded the emotion? What is this related to? I'm still attaching and holding on to past belief patterns that in a sense had served me but no longer serve me now? Can I let go of that? And that's that keep or delete. So there's so many beautiful ways that we can use awareness as a skill. But after we've used awareness and become aware of how to use awareness, we then start to then step back even further and go, actually, when Marie says I am not my mind's a part of me, I am the awareness, what he's actually referring to is that I am consciousness. And consciousness gets to have these experiences without being the experience. You get to drive your car without you being your car. I get to ride my bike without me being my bike. When I'm finished riding my bike, I hang it back up and I can look at it and I can see it and I go, well, I think I need to pump up the tyres. I might need to give it a bit of a clean down. I need to oil the chain. So I'm looking at the bike as a tool that gives me an experience when I choose to hop on it. When I choose to hop in the car, and at the moment the ute's a little bit dirty, I want to get it washed. So as I wash it, I'm cleaning it, but I'm noticing, okay, this is what I need. I need to put oil in it, I need to put fuel into it. And then I park it. And then I'll go in and sit and do something else. And I'll use other vehicles to have experiences, but I know that I am not the vehicle. It's like on the phone or on the laptop. I am not the laptop. I am not the phone. I am the one who is aware of it, and I can utilize it as a tool. The bike is a tool, the car is a tool, the laptop is a tool. They're all tools for experience. But while I'm using them to have the experience, I'm still aware of the experience and that I am not the tool. I am the awareness of the tool. Hopefully that makes sense. These are quite deep concepts, but I'm just trying to put them into a context where you can then start to use them in your everyday stuff. So let's sort of go back and summarize that a little bit there. I am not my mind's a part of me. I am the awareness of the mind. And initially, I'm just aware of particular things that are happening. I am not the experience, I am the one who observes the experience. Experiences will come and go. They'll rise and they'll fall like waves on the ocean. As they rise, notice the arising within you having the experience, and notice if they are of a negative nature, negative emotion self, negative emotion to others, then I can inquire into it and go, I must not be seeing something through the eyes of love. Because if you want to heal anything, you just see it through the eyes of love. And once again, that's the feminine part. Okay. When I inquire into it and ask what this is related to, I'm using the masculine, the wisdom. So what is this related to? Could it be related to something in the past? Is it related to shadow self? Am I not seeing through the eyes of love? How would love see or look at this? That's sort of the antidote to it. And then you can start to inquire into it. So what you're basically doing is going throughout your days, just practicing awareness, being mindful of what arises within you. Because a lot of our mindfulness practices are more so external stuff. I've got to be mindful of time, mindful of my speech, mindful of the way that I drive, mindful of my consideration for others, mindful of being late, being early, whatever it is. But we're not necessarily shining the light inwards and noticing the arisings, because each and every day you have many arisings that you may not see because you're not using, I guess, the responsive part of the mind, and you're not seeing it through the eyes of awareness. You just automatically react and create separation, turn somebody into a victim or a perpetrator. And when we react, we don't actually see what was there. So what we're trying to do is create space between you and your thoughts, and that's what awareness does. That's what mindfulness does as well too. So go out in your days, experience your days. You've got today, hopefully you've got many more days than today, but at least let's take a day at a time. Notice what's arising within you, because, you know, like Rumi's The Guest House, you know, meet each guest with honour. Meet each emotion with honour, because each has been a guide sent from beyond. So just honour what is arising within you. Don't try and push it away. Don't try and judge it or anything like that. Inquire into it. And inquire into it with a loving, compassionate nature, because this is you. This is you. And then you can learn more and more about yourself and come to a greater understanding of self, the way that you interact with life, and the way that life interacts with you through other selves. And ultimately getting to know thyself. Cool. Something a bit more to contemplate.